If you want to know how to fight terminal illnesses with yoga and meditation, come to the lecture over here. Cancer's got nothing on me. I've beaten cancer with yoga. 10 years ago, I was diagnosed with cancer. Welcome to Half an Hour of Madness. My name is Patel. I don't like talking about myself very much. I don't like talking about myself very much unless there's a reason to do it, okay? And sometimes in life, things happen to you, God does something to you, and he can harm you in some way or do something that's quite bad, but he does it so that you can turn it around into something good. So, 10 years ago, and I'll give you a background, 10 years ago I was diagnosed with a terminal cancer condition called sarcoma, which is muscle tumour. What normally happens with this type of tumour is it goes in one part of your body, a muscle, then it spreads to the lungs of the body, and then from the lungs it spreads to the brain. So you get muscle tumour, then you get lung cancer, and then you get brain tumour. So this is what I had in the year 2000, okay? I had already been teaching since I was 19. I started teaching yoga when I was 19, I'm 37 at the moment. So it was about, 10 years into my teaching career. I was a hip-hop artist, I was very, very busy, very active 27-year-old. So this came into my leg on January the 1st, 2000. So what they said to me in the hospital at the time was I need to do radiotherapy, I need to do chemotherapy, and surgery. So what I done after they told me that was I went away from the hospital and I said, okay, I need some time to think about what I want to do, not what anybody wants me to do. I need to think by myself. So I left the hospital and I went and I done some research into the medical industry and what happens with this type of sarcoma. Okay, just so I know independently myself. So I went to the medical records and all of the libraries and I looked, and there's basically a 2 to 5 year lifespan for somebody. And it involved, a lot of the time it would involve an amputation of the limb. Okay? Now bearing in mind that the tumour that I had already then was the size of a small rugby ball, and it was wrapped around the femur bone, okay, the femur bone of the thigh. So it wrapped it, and it had taken in the main artery of the leg, okay? So I thought, okay, what's the chances of me having an amputation? So I spoke to another surgeon. He said, well, they won't be able to get the cancer off the artery, and they won't be able to scrape it all off the bone. So the chances are that through the operation, if they feel it's for your best interest, then they may amputate the leg. Or they may leave it disabled. Okay? So remember, I'm 27 years old, I love football, I love kickboxing, I love yoga, I love activity, and I didn't want that to happen to me. Okay? Then I thought, okay, even with amputation and chemotherapy, I've got a 75% chance of living 5 years, and after that it depreciates very quickly. It just sounded very risky to me. 10 years later, speed up, I've done no chemotherapy, I've had no surgery, I've taken no medication, and I'm still here working, I'm still here doing my hip hop, I'm still doing everything I do, okay? So now I'm going to explain to you how I got from being diagnosed with terminal cancer to being here 10 years later with nothing of the medical industry's medicine as such. Okay. I'll tell you the situation at the moment with the cancer. I'll tell you what's happening right now. The last diagnosis I got was 2006, and they done a biopsy because the tumour lump never went completely. What I did do is stop it spreading. They done a biopsy and they said most of it has turned into cystic fluid. So a lot of the cancer has changed into this fluid. But they said, cancer is still in your body, Mr. Patel. We still want you to come in and have the surgery, and at some point very soon you're going to drop down dead. It's going to kill you. This is a quote. Okay? And he said, I suggest you come into hospital immediately, this is 2006, and take the operation, get your chemotherapy done, and deal with it. And I said to him, do I look like I'm dying? Look at me. Do I look like I'm about to die? And he looked at me and he laughed and he said, Neil, he goes, no, you do not look like you're dying. I said, then why am I going to admit myself into hospital in a state of panic and start cutting my body to pieces and throwing cyanide around my blood cells like I'm just about to die. I said, when I feel like I'm dying, I'll come to you. But at the moment, I feel like I'm alive. And that has been a lot of what I've kept in my mind through this cancer. At the moment, you could say, technically speaking, I still have cancer, technically speaking, okay? But I ask any one of you, do I look like I'm dying? Do I look like I'm dying? Do I look like I'm dying? No, okay. So one of the things I learned over the years with cancer is, and in life in general, is you worry about death when you're dying. You worry about death when you're taking your last breath. That's when you think about death. While you're alive, you live. Okay? Very clear, very, very simple. And what makes you live is your spirit and your engagement with life. And this is what I started to tell my doctors, this is what I started to understand. So I'm going to break down a few things for you as to what my mentality is and how I control this condition in my body with my mind. Any questions about this particular point before I go on, about what I've been through and what I've done? Okay, so I'm going to be very random here and just talk about things as we go along. The first, most important thing that a cancer patient needs to know about how they're going to survive cancer using their mind is having a purpose to their life. Okay? If you start off a business, or you start up anything, a relationship, you get into a relationship with somebody, you want to know where it's going to go. Okay? You start going out with someone, you start dating someone, you get on well, and you think, okay, one day I'd really love to marry this person, or one day I'd love to have a house with this person, or one day I'd love to have children with this person. You set an intention in your mind, you set a goal in your mind. When you start up a business, you think, okay, one day I want to be able to pay my mortgage off with this company, one day I want the world to understand my product and to believe in it, to buy it, and you have a goal. A cancer patient without a goal is a cancer patient that's going to die. You understand? A cancer patient who doesn't know where they want to be in 5, 10, 15, and 25 years is going to die. I'm going to be very straight with you. Okay? If you know anybody with cancer or you have cancer, the first thing, don't think about you dying of cancer. Think, in 5 years I'm going to do this, in 10 years I'm going to do this, in 15, 20, and 25 years, this is what I'm going to achieve. Can you hear my spirit in my voice? Can you hear my soul? Listen, in the year 2000, I said to myself, by 2010, I'm going to have everybody knowing my story. I'm going to teach all the cancer patients and all the people of the world how to use their mind to achieve and overcome the impossible. That was my dream. That was my purpose. When I was in hospital and I was on wheelchairs and crutches because of this thing, I had a dream. And the dream was to see, you are my dream. Do you understand? My dream was to be here helping people to overcome. So I achieved my dream. I've got here, but that was my purpose. Second thing I'm going to tell you. The two things that make you cure anything, actually the two things that make anything happen are willpower and energy. All you lot are composed of is will and energy. Okay? So, if I'm standing here and with the will in my mind to be cured of cancer, I send that energy into my body, the cure will happen. But if I don't have the will to be well, then there can be no cure. If you don't have the will to be well, there can be no cure to your disease. The will to be well. Let's examine those two words. The will to be well. Do I want to live? The will to be well. Do I really, really want to live? Something Beata Bishop said once, who was a lady who worked a lot with cancer patients. It's a very controversial statement, but I started to understand it. Cancer is a socially acceptable form of suicide. Cancer is a socially acceptable form of suicide. And I thought that's very, very harsh. It's very, very strong. And I'm sure that not all cancer patients want to kill themselves. And then I examined myself and I thought, Neil, hold on a second. Am I really happy? I've got cancer now, 2000, I'm 27. Am I really happy? Am I really fulfilled? And then I started to think, you know what? There have been flashes in my life and moments in my heart and my mind when, you know what, I don't care if I live or die. That moment is when cancer can creep in. The emotion, remember, all disease begins in the mental and emotional level. Cancer looks for that thought.